Hi everybody, so in this video I'm going to give you a quick demo of how you can use the Amari HDFS file view to store the data files and then implement Hive queries to analyze the data. So the first thing you have to do is open up your VirtualBox and then turn on your sandbox, which I'm going to do right now. So this may take some while depending on how powerful your machine is. Mine is i7, so it's going to take some time. So it is loading up, but it should be here very soon. So the Docker is now starting. Okay, so this was pretty fast. So now once you see this, you can go over to your browser. I use Chrome browser, so I'm going to go over to localhost and then type in port 1080. And once you type in that, you should be able to see this dashboard. And if you are able to see this, really great. But if not, then you may just want to make sure that you have configured the sandbox properly, or make sure that you have the VirtualBox, the hardened sandbox running. So once you have confirmed this, the next thing we'd like to do is we'd like to go over to another port, which is localhost and then 4200. This is the shell environment. So now I'm going to type in my password. This should work. Okay, so this worked. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to port number localhost 30800. This is the Data Analytics Studio environment. Oftentimes, at least with me, it has been the case that whenever I try to directly access this port, I always get I always run into this error. So to have this thing running, there is another way, or there is a turnaround, another way of how you can access this environment, the Data Analytics Studio. So type in localhost port number 8080, and this is going to give you to this Amari file view. So this username, Raj_OPS and Maria_Dave, all of those are the default username that's been provided with the sandbox. So I'm choosing to use this one. The username and the password is the same, so I'm going to sign in, and okay. So now over here you see Hive is not running yet. The HBase is also not running yet. So we just want to make sure that we have this tool running. So I'm going to click on start. I'm going to do start, restart all. And this is going to take some time. So let's see. This is 33% right now. So hopefully this won't really take long, but we can't really tell. So I'm going to pause for a while, and then I will be back after I have this thing complete. So as you can see, my HBase is now completely running. So let's go back to over here. Okay, it's still not. Yeah, it's still showing up as stop. But let's go over to the Hive and see if we can get this thing running. Okay, so this one is also running, the start all services part. So let's wait for some time, and I'm going to pause for for some more minutes, and then I'll be right back. So now I have it all running, so I think we are good to go. So let's see over here. I'm going to refresh. Yeah, so this one, it says it's start, but let's try and see if we can run our Data Analytics Studio. So yeah, so if you go over directly localhost 30800, chances are you're going to run into an error. But then you can go over to port number 8080 and then click on Ranger and then click on your down arrow. And as you click on down, you see that Data Analytics Studio, it's green, which means it's running. So now if you go over to your browser and type in 30800, this should be up and running. Okay, so here you go. So you can see the interface. So we are pretty much in a good shape right now. So yeah, so we now have access to the Data Analytics Studio. The compose window is here. This is where you'll be writing all of your HIVE SQL database. This is where you'll be seeing all of your tables. So before we do that, we need a couple of things that we need to take care of is that make sure that your user has the read-write access. So for that, you would need to go over to HBase, click on Files View over here, and then yeah, it's not running. This Hive is not running, so that's why it's not showing up. Let's give it a try. Okay, so it's showing up. So yeah, so once you have this interface open up, you may just want to go over to the user, and this may take a while depending on how powerful your machine is. And now this is my user. So your user could be Mario_Dave or any other user. So depending on which your user is, just click on that. And once you click on your user, you will see here the permission tab, and click on it, and then make sure that you have given, or make sure that your user have both read, write, and execute instruction. So this one, if it is the first time that you are using the Embari framework, then it's likely that this one is not activated. So you may just want to double click on this, and that will give the right permission to your user. So click on Save and click on the cross, and that's going to give the read-write permission to your user. And once you have provided your user with the read-write and access, you may just want to double click on it and then upload the files that you want to upload to your machine. So go over here, click on the upload. My files are located over here. So I am typing the folder, and then okay, so after you have uploaded these files, then you can go over to your Data Analytics Studio and then start typing your code. So I have a couple of old tables which I will try to delete them if I can. If you want to delete your table, you can click on it, and then over here is the action button. Click on delete, and this may take a while, but then your table will be deleted. Okay, so I got the successfully deleted table. So this is going to refresh, and I've got no tables because I deleted both of my tables. So now I think we can begin to write down our queries for the write down our queries and then do some data analytics work. So first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to create an empty table, and empty table. I'm going to copy paste some of the code that I already have in the interest of time. So in order to create a table, the code is similar to the SQL, which is in a create table. And this is the code over here because my file is stored as a text file. I'm going to hit the execute button. Okay, so my query is now completed. Now the next thing that I'd like to do is, if you recall, our files here is EMP, event details, and timesheet. So these are the files that I'd like to use, or these are the files I'd like to use to have the data points, that is the data points that are in this table. I'd like to have them inserted to the tables that I'll be creating in the HIVE SQL. So the next thing I'd like to do is load the data file. For now, I'll just like to do EMP file into a temporary table. that is into this temp emp table. Again, I'm just going to copy paste the code. Run it. So my query has been completed without any errors. So I'm just going to do select star from tmp underscore emp, because that's my temporary table. So over here with this command, what I did is I wanted to load the data that's there in the emp.csv file into this temp table, which is temp underscore emp. So I'm going to execute this, and this should run without any error. So now as my code is running, so one of the things that we have to be careful, and one extra skill that we need to have while we get ourselves ready to write the Hive SQL is that many of the time when we are when we are extracting data from the CSV files and inserting it to the Hive tables, we may just want to make use of the regular expression. If your data set is in an Excel file, that should be fine. But then if your data set is pipe delimited or comma separated, then in that case you may just want to make use of the regular expression to have your data inserted correctly into the Hive tables. So over here, I just did select star from temp underscore emp. You can also do select distinct emp. Both of them is going to give you the output. But one thing that I want to make clear is that many of the commands that's there in the Hive QL and the MS SQL is pretty much the same. There are some differences. For example, over here you'll be making use of the regular expression for a lot of filtering queries with the Hive QL. So that's one of the distinction, but other than that, most of the command is going to be the same. So over here, if you take a look at this data set, you see that many of the data points are comma separated. The first one we know is the employee ID. Second is the full name. And this is the full name over here. This is the social security number. This is a hypothetical data set. This is not the original data set or actual data set, so we don't really have to worry about the identity being revealed. So this is the SSN. This is the location information over here. Okay, so so when we are ready to extract the data, we want the data from this temp table and then copy it to our new table. So now we'd like to create a new table called emp to hold the data from temp underscore emp. So for that, we will again need to create a table. So this is my command, which is very similar to the SQL part. I'm going to run this, execute this, and then I'm going to hit the pause button because this may take some time. Okay, this was pretty fast. So our table emp, which is our actual table in which we would like to store the data, is now created. So the next thing we'd like to do is we'd like to extract the data that's in the temp emp and copy it to our emp table. So for that, again, I'm just copying the code. So this is the code over here, and first one is the emp ID, because as we saw, the first variable was the emp ID. Likewise, full name. So all of these. So regex regular expression underscore extract over here. This is the function that returns the matching a text item in the string or data. And this is our column value, so we just want to extract the column value. And this is the regex that we have for extracting the data points for our table. So depending on the pattern of our data, we may just want to make a tweak to our regular expression accordingly. But for this one, this is going to be our regex expression. And if I click on this and hit the execute button, all of my data is going to be executed. So I'm going to pause this for a second, and then I'll be right back after all of this data insertion is complete. So now my query is completed. If I go over to the EMP, or if I do select star from EMP, my data is going to show up.